In the last video, I mentioned that we're all guns loaded up with imperfections that when triggered causes us to shoot our spouse and cause a lot of hurt and pain and cause the bullet of offense to be lodged in to our spouse's heart, which then leads to our spouse having to forgive us. Now, before I talk about how to go ahead and extricate that bullet and the things that I do to help do that, I do want to talk about this analogy again and kind of talk about how you can actually, avoid or prevent that bullet from reaching your heart and causing you a lot of pain. And these are what I call preventative measures that you can take to make sure that you're preventing yourself from being hurt. And in this one, I'm going to talk about the first one, which is actually quite easy to do. Well, if you think about it, right, you don't have to be in the firing line of the bullet that comes out of that gun. Again, you don't have to be in the firing line. Sometimes you cannot help but be in the firing line because you don't know it's going to happen. But there are sometimes you know that the trigger is about to be pulled and you know that that gun is about to go off. If that's the case, I want you to move away from the path of the gun and the path of the bullet. So although the offense comes out, it doesn't really impact you. Okay. Again, you're not in control of whether that trigger gets pulled, but you can choose whether you are in the firing line. And what do I mean by that? A lot of people put themselves in the firing line of people's offense and every single thing else like that just by deciding that they're not going to do the simple things that keeps them away from her. For example, there was an example of a couple that came to me and, it seems as if when the guy got home, he wanted to have about 10 minutes or so just to be in his man cave, just to calm down a little bit. And then he wants to be able to, just take a little bit of a shower, then come out and everything is okay. Although his wife knew this, she did not give him that space. And so every single time he came home, it was something that irked him and it led to a lot of argument. And there was a lot of words spoken that led to things that shouldn't have happened. See, what she should have done is stay away from the firing line and just allow him to do those little things that he wants to do so that they don't even get to the point where something happens and it has the opportunity to impact, her heart, so to speak. That is an example of that. Another example can be, on the man's side doing something, right, to the lady that she doesn't quite like. If a lady needs her space, you need to give her a space, right? Now, if a lady needs you not to say some certain words, well, you just need to bite the bullet and not say some certain words. That's just the way it works. So this kind of thing is understanding what triggers your spouse and then determining that I am not going to be in the firing line because I am going to create an environment where those things don't actually trigger the person when they're around me. This is very important and is something that you need to do. So here's the exercise I want you to do now. If you're finding yourselves, in this kind of situation and in this kind of cycle where there's just a lot of hurt and a lot of pain and things happening and both of you are speaking words that's impacting each other or doing some certain things, I want you to ask yourself the question, what are the triggers? Okay, and write it down. You and your spouse preferably should do this, but if not, you should at least do it for yourself if you're watching this by yourself. Write down what are the triggers that cause a lot of offense that ultimately lead to pain in each other's hearts. Once you write those things down, ask yourself the questions, are there some things that we can do to make sure that we stay outside of the firing line? To make sure that those things and those triggers don't actually happen so that you can enjoy your time together more than anything else. Okay? Again, I call this preventative measures that you can take. You need to do that right away and then start to implement them. The good news is this, you'll find out that there are not so many things. The triggers are just about the same, right? And the triggers a lot of the times are simple behaviors that can be changed. But I do want to warn you, it is not every single behavior that can be changed. So there's sometimes that you will not be able to get out of the firing line. And to be able to deal with it, I'm going to share with you how you can then avoid being hurt by the things you can avoid in the firing line in the next video. So stay tuned and watch that one. But for right now, I do want you to do that exercise and make sure you stay out of the firing zone as much as you can. And now we're going to address in the next video the things that you can do if you can't get out of the firing line. Again, thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.